In 2007, medical journal The Lancet published the very unusual case of a 44-year-old Frenchman who has since become known as the man with no brain. Now, this nickname is misleading. He did have a brain, but, well, this story is all screwed up. Listen to this. A 44-year-old man in France goes to the doctor and complains that he's had some weakness in his left leg for the past 2 weeks. Weaky leg, we'll call him. The leg weakness was odd because there didn't seem to be anything wrong with his leg, but the doctor soon discovered Weaky leg had a history of brain surgery when he was young. That doesn't sound good. A scan was performed on Weaky leg's brain and, oh my god, where's the rest of it? A large cavity filled most of the space where Weaky leg's brain should have been, leaving the remnants of his brain as a thin shell pressed against his skull. How did this happen? Well, here's a normal brain. There are cavities called lateral ventricles. They contain cerebrospinal fluid, which circulates around the brain and spinal cord and acts as a shock absorber, or a watery cushion. If for some reason the cerebrospinal fluid can't drain or circulate properly, it could build up and put pressure on the brain. This is known as hydrocephalus. Compare the normal brain to this scan of someone with hydrocephalus. The lateral ventricles have become enlarged with cerebrospinal fluid. Weaky leg had developed this condition at 6 months of age from some unknown cause, resulting in his first brain surgery, the installation of a shunt to drain excess fluid away from the brain. At the time, this seemed to work, but at age 14, Weaky leg started to develop his signature weaky leg, a partial loss of control of the left leg. This resulted in his second brain surgery, a revision to his cerebral shunt. This fixed his leg issues completely, and then he was apparently alright for the next 30 years, until his leg started to feel a bit weak again. Somewhere in those 30 years, the fluid had somehow started building back up again, leading to massive enlargement of the lateral ventricles. Like, this is really bad. I mean, you don't need to be a brain surgeon to know that it's not supposed to have a big hole in it. Weaky leg's case became quite famous for just how extreme it is, and there's a plethora of online articles about the man missing 90% of his brain, or something equally crazy, although that's not technically true. His brain wasn't destroyed, it was compressed outwards until it was basically just a thin sheet pressed against his skull, like inflating a balloon inside a tub of yogurt or something. I don't know. I'm not a brain surgeon either. This is still definitely not something you want to happen to you. Unlike yogurt, the brain has a structure that is affected by being smushed. But amazingly, the 44-year-old only complained about a mild weakness in his leg. Other than that, he seemed a normal enough, high-functioning adult. Neurologists even tested his IQ, which proved to be 75, which is not very good, but still above what's considered intellectual disability. In fact, Weaky leg lived a normal life. He worked as a civil servant, which explains a lot about my experiences dealing with civil servants, and he had 2 kids. Fair play to him. I think most people with an IQ in that ballpark work as nothing and have about a dozen kids, and they don't even have the excuse of having a massively concerning, medically newsworthy neurological condition. So he may not have been a genius, but he did seem to be doing alright for a man with this going on in his head. But how? Well, Weaky leg might be one of medical science's most unusual examples of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself and adapt to changes. Learning a new skill might require the brain to rewire some neural connections, but it will try to do this in response to physical damage to the brain too. Brain activity associated with certain functions can actually transfer to a different location. Now, there are obviously limits to how much the brain can reorganize its connections and operate as before, and Weaky leg's case of hydrocephalus might be pushing the limits. It is pretty incredible the brain can still function fairly normally like this. Weaky leg had surgery to drain the fluid from his brain. This fixed the issues with his leg, but there was no change in his cognitive function. He was no smarter than before. A CT scan revealed there was no change in the structure of his brain. It had already adapted to this extreme condition. He was left with a thin shell-like layer of brain tissue surrounding a large cavity. Assumedly, he carried on as normal, but the medical report ends here, and seeing as it keeps the man's identity anonymous, and he's apparently never come out in public to speak about his condition, we may never know anything else about him. Godspeed, Weaky Leg. I hope your leg hasn't given you any more trouble, and your recompense for wasting taxpayer time and money in whatever branch of the civil service you're in is satisfactory. If you liked this video, I have many more for you to watch, and if you'd like to see more in the future, then subscribe, and you will see more in the future. You can join the channel membership to support me monetarily, and until next time, stay safe. A large cavity filled most of the space where compare the normal brain. This is really bad. I mean, you don't need to be a brain surgeon to know that's... Well, Weaky Leg might be one of the medical scientists... Well, let me have a sip of water. Hold on now.